using things like pivot tables and conditional formatting, things that you would consider to be like an intermediate level. So let's open it up. Okay, so it's TED Talk activity, right? That's it, I think. So again, I don't know if you all have the same data. I'm going to just show my screen right now. So this is the data that some of you guys have. You might have the same data with different numbers, guys. So again, don't plagiarize off each other, because it's happened in the past where it's like it looks the same, but some of these numbers are different, and that's how they get you. Okay, so we're here to learn how to do it, not to have it done for you. So they've asked you to download it and use a pivot table. To make a pivot table from in here, you're going to want to select all the data. To select all the data like very fast, all you have to do is press Control A or Command A if you're on a Mac. Like, look, right now I'm going to press Command A on my keyboard. Okay, it's going to select all the data. By the way, I teach an Excel course if you guys are interested. It starts April 1st. So Command A, insert, and then you're going to have pivot table somewhere. So if you expand it, it's usually on the left here, pivot table. And you could just press OK right away. And then this is a pivot table. If you've never seen it before, a pivot table is just a way to filter through a bunch of information. Like we had, what, 5, 6, 7 different columns. It's hard to read that. But with a pivot table, you can say, okay, well, I don't want to see all that stuff. I just want to see specific things. Like, like for example, here. What was the total number of comments for all years? Actually, let me go back here. Download the insert pivot table. Hint on this sheet. Inserted 2 new columns to the right of the published date. Just making sure we didn't miss anything. Film year and extract the data from these columns. Okay, fine. So I'm just going to explain to you what they're saying here. So before I make my pivot table, I'm actually going to delete my pivot table for a second. They're saying to go to your table and add 2 columns. Film year, publish year. And we want to extract the data. Because on the left here, they've given you dates, right? But we want just the year. I feel like on Excel, you could probably just type in equals year, open your bracket, choose this. Let's see if this is going to work. Yeah, it worked. See what I did there? Year, open bracket, choose the first column here, close your bracket, and it pulled out just the year. We'll do the same for publish year. Equals year, open bracket, select here, close, and it pulled out the year. Once you've done it for both, you can copy, or you can just fill all of this. So like there. If you don't have, sometimes on a Mac, you don't have that little, like if you mouse over the bottom, it doesn't turn into a black black cross. You could just select these 2, copy, and then highlight all of this and paste. So I'm not sure exactly why they wanted you to do that, but that's what they mean when they say create 2 new columns and extract the data of film year and publish year. Okay. So cool. Now, again, we're going to Control A, insert our pivot tables, press OK. Okay. Now let's see what they want. What was the total number of comments for all years? Okay. So I would go to my pivot table, and they're asking us for comments, and they're asking us for years. Now, they haven't specified which year. Does anyone have any insight on that? Because that gives me confusion anyways. Do they mean publish year or film year? Does anyone know? No? Let's do both then. I mean, it's not going to take long. So look, comments. Oh, chat. They want us to do both. Perfect. So comments, film year, publish year. And now, depending on what you want, like, look, I lost my pivot table. I would put the film year, let's say, as the row. Yeah, okay, perfect. So hold on, let me restart this. Remove So they want to know by year. So I would take film year from here, drag it into the rows. And the comments, drag it into values. Let's see what happens if I do that. There. And now I have my answer. So as far as film years go, these are the number of comments by year, and these are this is the total. So for first question, I would treat this as like the answers. And you could probably just, you're gonna have to submit your Excel anyways, but you can copy paste this into Word as well. This is how many comments there was in each year. And this is the total. If you wanted publish year, you can put publish year in the row as well. And you could, it's weird if you do both at the same time because it looks like that, but you can just, let's say just do publish year and you'll have that. So you just play with your things over here. Just, and you know, when you're done and you don't want to include comments anymore, you just click it and it goes away.
Would we have to create a new pivot table to do the?
The next one? No, look, I just removed those. And now what is it? Next one I want. What was the average number of views for 2006? Okay. So I'm going to go back here. I've got views. Okay. And I want, let's say, film year. So I'm going to put that in the row. So now I have views. Now the thing is, your pivot table will by default give you the sum, but they wanted the average, right? So if you want to change these to averages, you go over here on the right click, field settings, and then choose average. And it's going to change these to averages. So what was the question? The average number of views for 2006, right here. Not hard stuff. It's like, that's what you're just playing with this pivot table for this entire question.
Yeah, but for the first question, they wanted us to do both, right? The film year and the publish.
Yeah, exactly. I would do both for all of these because they're not specifying. So like, you know, this one would be for film year. And then if I remove film year and I replace that with publish year for 2006, it would be this one here. The reason I think it's a film year is because this one asks about 2005 and there is no 2005 in publish year.
So does that mean, but like I'm saying, like, should we have to recreate pivot tables like for each, like a new sheet of pivot table to get all the answers?
No, you can just, oh, I see what you mean. No, because you have to transcribe this into Word. Like, let's say on your Word document, you're just going to write the answer here. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to submit a separate, like here, you're going to put in the number. Here, you're going to put in the number. And then you'll just submit one Excel sheet at the end. Don't make a separate pivot table for each question. That's what you mean, right? That's what you're asking?
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
No problem. Augustine?
Yeah, I had a question regarding part 3. What was the average length of videos in 2005? Okay. And I also noticed that the only film year had 2005. Published year did not have 2006. So obviously we can only do for film year. But then because they did not really specify exactly for part 3 that we can only use film year, therefore for part 1 and part 2, why should we also include published year?
I agree with
you. Because
I agree with you 100%, but you know, your profs are a little funny, right? So I would, the ones that you can do both, I would just do both unless they specify. Because look, here, for example, they specify film year. So it's like, oh, okay, well, here they didn't. So maybe I should put both. So, I mean, to be safe, I would just say, if you can do both, do both. If you can only do one, then do one. And if they tell you to use film year, then use film year. But I agree with you. I agree with you that is really unclear.
Thank you.
Okay, so average length of videos, this is gonna be the same thing. So we're gonna use the film year average, but instead of views, we're gonna put length. So again, right click, field setting, change it to average. And now you've answered question 3. The average length for 2005 is 11.64, I guess, minutes. Time.
Yeah, I don't know if you just went over this. I think I missed it, but because parts like in the detailed instructions, it says submit your file, Excel file, including the pivot table. So am I able to just like have them all next to each other? And then I'll like.
You don't need to have, I don't need to see, I mean, you don't need to have a separate pivot table for every question, if that's what you mean, because you're submitting a Word file with the
Yeah.
actual numeric answers. We just want to see that you did a pivot table. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to have 5 pivot tables because you have 5.
Okay. So let's say just the last one I use, if I leave it there, that they'll know I
Yeah,
didn't.
if you want to be sure, man, you can, like, let's say this one, copy it. Like if I just do a copy right now,
Yeah.
what happened? Copy. And I go into Word, let's say for question 3, and I paste, okay? Like it's there. So
Okay.
you know what I mean, like you can do that if you want,
All
but
right,
you
cool.
don't make a separate pivot table. Okay. So that's what you're doing for all of these basically. Now for the next part, insert a new column. So I'm just reading the instructions with you guys. Insert a new column with the title month and a new column with the title count. In Q3, Q4 sheet, okay, we're counting. Okay, got it. So in here, they essentially want you guys to count how many movies, I guess, were released in each month. So they're saying to do this with number of times top 100. The month column should contain numbers 1 to 12. Oh, film. Okay, great. So we're asking you for film to use the film date. So I'm going here and I want to count how many times a movie was filmed in January, how many times it was filmed in February, in March, and April. So this is what you do. Month and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12. Now, the way that you do this, I would probably here add a column called month and do what I did before to extract the info, right? Like equals month, choose my film dates, and now I have the month. You see, and I know it's right because I see it right there. That was filmed in February, and I got the month of 2. And I'm just going to repeat that all the way down. Augustine, what's up?
I did the exact same thing as you're doing, and I'll use the COUNTIF function, and I'll select the range and then the criteria and all. But my only problem here is in the PDF, in the assignment PDF, nowhere did they mention that I was like allowed or that it is recommended that I create a month column. So even though I got the correct answer, I'm just like a bit unsure because they didn't mention it anywhere.
I mean, like it would be, there are other ways to do it, right? But this is also isn't an Excel course. Like I don't think they want you to build a complex function or formula that is going and extracting. So I think this is the logical way to do it.
Mm,
I would feel comfortable doing this. So I
okay.
made I extracted the months. Yeah, this is for question 4. And then you're going to do a count if, like you said. Now, what I suggest you guys do, just to make your lives a bit easier, select all of your things here. And at the top left, and you don't have to do this, just a little trick on Excel. If you select all of your data, okay, not the first value there, but all of it. Over here in where it says J2, I'm going to rename this just month. Essentially what that does when you do that is like you've just turned all of those into a word. So like when I go here, I'm going to type count if. You guys are gonna have to rewatch this video after just to be sure. But like if you know Excel, then you know what I'm doing. Count if. You're telling Excel count how many times I find the month 1. And in the range, I'm just gonna type the word month. And look what happens when I type that. It's gonna automatically select all of the data that I group together. So I'm saying basically count in that range how many times you find this number. So count in that range how many times you find the month 1. Close my bracket. Only once. In all these movies, only one of them was filmed in January. And then you could fill in or copy paste it down, and it's done. 32 movies were filmed in February, 13 in March, 5 in April, and so on and so on and so on. And you're done. This is what they are asking you to do. Just go and count how many movies were filmed in each month. So if I show you the formula again, count if, I use the word month as a reference to all of those, and then the cell right beside it. Okay. So they want you to enter a bar chart and then answer questions. So the questions are easy. They're answered based on the table. So in which month were the most filmed, the fewest, so that you guys can just read the table. But for a bar chart, I would just select the count. You probably don't even need to select the title, but you can. Insert, and then here in the middle, you could do a 3D one if you want, the regular one. So it's going to look like this. And then maybe you're going to want to put like frequency of films or movies filmed in each month, whatever. So there's your bar chart. You can play around with how it looks. If you're picky, if you want to make it cute, you can have fun with that. Right? They want it at the bottom, so when you're done, you just paste it down here. There you go. I'm not sure I like this one that much. Okay. So that's question 4.1. And then 2, 3, 4, like I said, you answer them from the table. So the most was Feb, the least was August, and in July they filmed 15. There, answer it. The last thing, okay, I'll keep you guys another like 5, 6 minutes. The last thing is conditional formatting. Question 5 is saying to open up Q5 down here. And here you have like some boring data that's like, okay, the top 10 movies and, different descriptions of that movie and how many times. Like this movie was described as beautiful 4,573 times. This movie was described as fascinating 14,000 times. They want you to use conditional formatting to color in the values that are above average and below average. So it says here, using conditional formatting, have the descriptive tag counts that are above average with a green background. Okay, very easy. Select your data. Okay, conditional formatting, Mac or PC, same thing. Okay, conditional formatting, top bottom rules, above average. I don't actually know that you guys can see what's happening on the screen. When I click
We
on,
can't.
no, you can't. Yeah, the Zoom is so weird when it comes to that. Okay, I'm gonna just share my whole screen again. Okay, so just okay. So I selected my data, conditional formatting. Now you see it, right? It opened up.
Yes.
Above average. And I want it to be green. So I'm just going to go here, click on green, click. Now, everything that was above average, Excel's doing all the math for you. Everything that was above average turns green. Select it again. They want everything below average to go red. So below average, red, perfect, click, done. Okay. And now this is so freaking weird, but manually group together using copy paste until you've stacked the colors together as much as possible. Note that there's no right or wrong way to stack. You want to stack so that it tells a compelling story. So what they want is for you to try and group together as much green as possible and as much red as possible. So like the way I would do it is I would just like, let's say take this because there's some green, cut, paste it down here just to create, a gap. And I'm just going to start moving these around. Like, okay, I'm going to move these at the bottom because they're all red. I'm going to move this one to the bottom because it's all red. This one is very green and there isn't one right way. And I don't want you guys to copy mine exactly because then it's going to look like you all did the same thing and the odds of that are weird, right? So, but I'm just showing you like, this is what they're saying. Just move it around. So I'm moving this one back in so that you have as much green grouped together as possible and as much red grouped together as possible. I don't know why, but this is what they want and that's it. Look at mine. So mine is a little bit more grouped together now. And then you're basically done. You have questions here. Submit your Excel file. So submit this. How many times was inspiring tagged for the top video? Okay, this is the top video. So inspiring was tagged 26,000 times. So I'm just going to go here. If I were submitting this as my assignment, 26,754. How many times was okay above average? Okay. Okay is here. It was never above average. 0. How many times was funny above average? Okay, let's see. Funny. All right. So again, you guys don't all have necessarily the same data, right? I'm just showing you how to use the conditional formatting, how to answer the questions. You're going to have to take this as a guide with your own data and answer the questions accordingly. And that's it. I think that's the end of it, right? Yeah. So